This one is one of my favorites episode of season 2. Not only because we see a Grayson wedding and Emily in that simple but stunning red dress. I love seeing Mason back and that he switches teams for the first time. And I also like the theme of this episode. I know it is overdone and a real soap topic, but illusions is a fitting headline for a Grayson wedding. Especially for Conrad and Victoria, because I think they both like to lose themselves in illusions. Conrad in the illusion of loving Victoria with all of his heart and that she might love him back one day again. And Victoria is still lost in the illusion of her memory and love for David. The only thing I didn't like in this first sequence was that we had no flashbacks to their first wedding. I think it would have made the scene much more emotional when we had seen a younger version of Conrad and Victoria at their wedding day. When Charlotte is going through the pages of their wedding album with Conrad's vow, that would have been a perfect moment for a little flashback. But I guess that might have been a budget problem, and since the flashbacks are reserved for David's backstory, and we already have those new flashbacks with Kara, they did not want to open the door for any more of these stuff. About Amanda's burn scars. I think I talked about it in an earlier episode, but I am not happy with this plot. I know they wanted to have something that would reveal Emily's real identity without giving away the secret behind the double infinity symbol. But if you remember the first and only sex scene of Emily and Daniel, there were no burn scars, and Daniel never mentioned anything like that in season 1. So here is a huge consistency failure. And I just do not understand why Mason needs this burn scar plot for his suspicion. Victoria is already suspicious about Amanda, and he seemed to just want to confirm a theory. So why did they come up with this? It was just a distraction from a more interesting question. Why should Emily, a rich socialite, be friends with a former strip club dancer? However, I loved how Emily toys with Mason again in this episode. He is just so easy to manipulate, like any man who believes in conspiracy theories about Victoria and Kara Clarke. I think the writers put themselves in a deadlock situation. Because they made Kara and Gordon be husband and wife, they could not address the rivalry between Victoria and Kara over David. And they showed Kara more concerned about the loss of Gordon. I know the trial of David was more than 20 years ago and Kara was very ill at that time. But they really lost some potential here. They neither really captured Kara's loss with Gordon Murphy nor the alleged and real betrayal of David and Victoria. 'Cause as we saw in an earlier flashback, she saw Victoria back then as the other woman who stole her husband. And after the trial till now she feels betrayed by David 'cause he destroyed the life of their daughter with his behavior. She must have thought after putting her daughter into the solely care of David that Amanda would be safe. And that she had a better life when her mother was not a part of that life. So she surely was disappointed when she heard about the scandal. I think she is the first who does mention that David had a big and bad impact on Amanda's life with this scandal. About the flashbacks with Gordon. I liked those scenes, they were very sweet. Especially if you think of the contrast how Gordon, aka the white-haired man, was introduced in season 1 and how he behaves with Kara. It is nice to see this side of him, but again I think those little 2 snippets we see in this episode were just too little to sympathize with this couple. They just seem odd, even more if you think that Gordon tried to kill Amanda, Kara's daughter, in the pilot. The writers might thought it would be thrilling that we have this subplot with Kara that she knows everything is a lie what Victoria tells her about Gordon. But for me it was just too far away. They just lost focus so much in season 2 and 3. The core story was about the scandal and mistrial around David Clarke. All these side plots just lead nowhere in the end, and do not support the core story. Emily and Aiden on the phone. It might be odd, but for me this scene was just so funny. Aiden is so hard trying to win Emily back, and she is just fully engaged in her mission again. It is really odd that she had Gordon Murphy's body on ice the whole time. I mean, her idea of framing Conrad and Mason at the same time was just brilliant. But it is really strange that she talks with Aiden on the phone and at the same time handling a dead body. About Kara and Amanda drawing. I like that they at least finally tried to find a connection between Amanda and her mother Kara. Even though she was still very young, there had to be something she remembered from her mother. And that they stick to Emily's hobby in season 1 painting was nice to see. I like that the two share this little conversation. It seems as if Emily really tries to be as honest as she can be to Kara. And it is interesting that she draws Grayson Manor and not the beach house where David and her daughter lived. She seems merely as obsessed with the Graysons as Amanda, and very much for the same reason. She wants revenge for Gordon and all the lies the Graysons are telling about him. About Charlotte not going to the wedding. It is really annoying how they toying with her. They even change her motives and attitude towards this wedding in one episode. At the beginning we see Charlotte going through the old wedding album of her parents. Obviously she was thrilled by the idea of her parents remarrying. And contrary to this conversation here with Victoria, her hair was being done. I can understand that they feel the need to bring the Grayson children up against their parents, and she has a point. Victoria is just marrying Conrad for safety reasons, not out of love. My reaction towards her mentioning Declan again would be the same as Victoria's in this scene, not that one again. But not because I do not like him. Instead, I think he could have done much better than going back to Charlotte twice. As I said in season 1, I would have preferred to see him with a new girlfriend in season 2. About Nolan and Emily, though I do not like them fighting, I really love this scene. And it is more of a playful debate. Though in the end Emily is sadly right. Nolan should have been more careful. But Nolan has a point. As much as she tries to hide it, Emily has still some unresolved feelings for Daniel. And that is clouding her judgment even more in season 3 when she has this mental breakdown. Spoiler alert. But I was happy that they both found common ground and almost a new understanding when he learned about her true identity in season 4. I think that was the first time that Daniel could truly understand Emily. And they had a real chance to become friends. But that belongs to another season. In this scene it was funny to see the first and only icy stare competition between Emily and Nolan.
Okay, you win.
By the way, I like her new, more business-like outfit. In season 1 she wore not often a blazer, but in season 2 we see Emily more in the official field, and so she dresses according to the dress code. I do not like yellow, but the dress suits her, and in combination with the white blazer the yellow is not that dominant. About the second red dress, I assume it is the simply cut-and style of the dress I like the most. Emily really looks tall in this long and tight fighting dress. And I like the some kind floating texture of the dress. Mostly the dresses of Revenge, especially the ones of Victoria, fit like a second skin. We seldomly see those floating princess dresses. But this one looks really nice, and it is very sexy, too. And I like her hair in this scene. This blonde hairstyle on one side really suits her. This scene is interesting because Emily is already trying to win Daniel back. And Aiden seems to be here just to arouse Daniel's jealousy and maybe to distract Ashley. By the way, I hate Ashley's choice. The grey one was really nice, but this golden dress looks just cheap. Especially with those big earrings. But I really like how her hair is done. Those braids really look great on her. About the Ryan brothers. You can call me crazy, but I really found a weak spot for this one of the two Ryan brothers. Spoiler alert. I know he looks shady and all, but his little brother is far more dangerous and ruthless than him. The way he talks with Declan and sympathizes with him really makes me wonder how he can be so kind to Declan and at the same time plot his revenge. It seems as if she is really growing fond of the Porter boys. About Victoria's wedding dress. I think it was appropriate that she did not wear white. After all, this was a scam for Victoria, and since it is their second wedding after a divorce, grey seems a fitting metaphor for this. And she could possibly not wear black, so was red or grey the obvious choice. And I think this style really suits Madeleine Stowe. In Season 3 she wears a very similar dress in purple for Emily's and Daniel's wedding. I like the mermaid look and the lace fabric at the neck. But the pearls look a little bit too much. First, her double-breasted pearl necklace, which seems to be her favorite, since we saw it in Season 1 at the end. And 4 charms on each hand, or maybe she wears pearl necklaces as bracelets. Anyway, her accessoires were a little too much for my taste. And even the pearl earrings seem a little too big. I do not know, but these big pearls, if they are not fake, must cost a fortune. About Conrad's gift. It might not be very romantic to give his future wife a gun as wedding gift. And Victoria's reaction that she might have a way out of this marriage was just the right reaction to this very odd gift. But the idea behind it, Victoria should always be capable to defend herself, shows how much Conrad still cares for her. Spoiler alert. And again, points for consistency, cause this is the gun Victoria uses to shoot Emily in the final episode. About Mason's call. I really like how he is always meddling with Victoria and Emily, aka Amanda. That seems to be Mason's thing, to sneak up on them for new juicy details, so that he can write a new book. But he truly seems to care about Amanda's destiny, and Victoria has become something like a patron to him. So Mason is always torn between these two women. About Nolan and Padma. I like that they both wear the same color, blue. Shows they are already forming an union. And his ongoing joke about Aiden being Mr. Bond was funny for me, since it is so obvious that Aiden is always failing with his missions. I like how they capture that Emily is sizing up Victoria. About Mason and the police searching Grayson Manor. I know they're all busy with the wedding, but is it not odd that no one of the staff informs the Graysons about this search of the house? And how is it possible that the police can just walk through without informing anyone who actually lives there? Or did Victoria give her permission when Mason informed her with his phone call? Though I liked the surprise on Conrad, it seems a little forced. About Kara's and Jack's little chat. I know it is some kind of cruel cause. Neither is Kara the real grandmother of baby Carl, nor is Jack her son-in-law. But I really like this little chat between them. She is foreshadowing what comes in the mid of this season. And what she says is moving Jack in the right direction, too. Though I hate how Kara's storyline turned out to be, I really enjoyed Jennifer Jason Leigh's performance. How insecure she is and this nervously jumping really underlines her fragile state of mind. It is still the little things that make a good actor. About Daniel and Emily dancing. It is odd we never saw them dancing together in Season 1. I think they had only one real date in this steakhouse, and then they only met at the beach house and on Grayson events. So this is the first dance scene of Emily. Spoiler alert, in Season 3 she is dancing with Daniel at their wedding and with Nolan. And then again in Season 4 with her father. It seems odd because Emily is a former ballerina, and in her first leading role she portrayed a young girl at Everwood who wants to be a ballet dancer. And I am not quite sure what they had in mind with Aiden and Ashley. They have some odd conversations who are really open for interpretation. Still, this scene makes me sad for Daniel. He truly wonders what he has lost and how he can regain it. But all that Emily gives him in season 2 and 3 is just an act to see her revenge through, while he is chasing a dream that obviously never was true. About Conrad's arrest. Letting the police arrest Conrad at his wedding was a really bold move. I like how Victoria and Conrad playing the blame game. In season 2 and 3 they are so blinded by the hate on one another that they did not see who was really behind everything. I like how Nolan and Aiden react to Emily's stunt. They both admire her capability. About Mason again. I like how quick he thinks and how he is digging up Emily's secret. As I saw his board I really thought he got it. About Helen Crawley visiting Conrad in jail. I truly forgot about this little scene. Though for me it does not change that much. I still have my problems with the initiative plot and Conrad's big reveal at the end of this season. But I guess this visit should assure that Conrad is not giving up and talking about all the secrets he and the initiative were hiding since David's trial. And of course to show how powerful the initiative is that they can get Conrad free immediately. About Victoria and Kara. I like that Kara's challenging Victoria and that Vicky is truly afraid of her. As if she was capable to just throw her over the balcony. A little foreshadow of what happens in the next episode. About Jack's proposal. Spoiler alert, it still bothers me that Fomanda gets her proposal but Emily not, since they rush into the happy ending in the last episode. However, I like how Jack pulled this off. First the lights on the boat and his really nonchalant way of bridging to his proposal. And the pure joy of both was really nice to see. About Emily and Aiden. I still like this little scene. Because Aiden is more gentle and not that forceful as Daniel when he tries to win back Emily's trust. He knows her well and everything he says is true. Emily has major trust issues and needs a long time to forgive and get over a trust breach. So Aiden has to be patient. I like his sentence that he will never give up on her. And that he trusts she will not give up on him as well. A fitting statement about their balanced relationship. I also love her big eyes in this scene and how they almost kiss and she is the one who is reluctant and pulls away. About Emil's ruse for Treadwell. I do not quite know, but I think this was the first and the last time in season 2 that we see a resolution like in season 1. Where they made up this pattern that we see at the end of each episode, how Emily staged her revenge. And finally the Black Hoodie is back. I love the composition with this song. Really gives this whole sequence an elegant mood. About Mason's discovery. As I saw this I really thought he would have found out. Which was the perfect cliffhanger, of course, cause we the audience could not know for sure. Anyway, with this I was really hooked again. Especially since the initiative was something that followed the more imminent and important plot. They had not snagged all the intention since we had the unresolved problems with Mason and Kara. So I was really looking forward to each episode till Kara left.